lucky in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For my monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise,
he did the mash.
He did the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
He did the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
He did the mash.
He did the monster mash from my laboratory.
Welcome, my friends, to the special Halloween edition of Tom's Cabin. Books and music. Be afraid. Happy Halloween, everybody. Good to see you. I got my Halloween shirt on. Yeah, carve out, save a life. You know, October is blood donation month. They get short of blood and transfusion, platelets and such right before the holidays. So think about that. If you get some extra time before the holidays, before you start running around and all that craziness, go down to your local blood bank or the American Red Cross and donate a pint of blood. Our Halloween special, we've got a very, very special guest. Dim the lights, light the candles. The Mistress of Horror is going to be here. And along with all kinds of other great stuff, we've got some promotional videos to show you, the latest news in books and music, and some other fun stuff. Top songs for Halloween. And like I say, author D.L. Tillery, the Mistress of Horror, is going to be coming by to tell us a little bit about the horror genre in time for Halloween. And we've got the latest news in publishing, books, music, and you. So it's good to have you with us. We got some other surprises for you. Well, it's time once again, ladies and gentlemen, for the news in publishing, music, books, and the arts. Recent developments in the literary world include a significant legal settlement in the big case involving AI. There are several new book releases, which we'll talk about this episode, and a lot of ongoing controversies surrounding authors and their works, and like that. I don't know how you feel, but I don't care if an author gets arrested for drunk driving or whatever. I care about the words they put on the page. Now, that's might be an old-fashioned viewpoint, but it's just like I think in professional sports. You know, we sometimes get surprised when these guys, you know, fly off the handle and get into some trouble with the law or whatever. I don't care about that. I care about, well, I do care about that, but I you know, it's beside the point. Can they perform on the field? Can they write a great story that's gripping and makes you want to come back for more? Those are good questions, I think. Well, first off, let's talk about the that big AI and copyright settlement that's going on. A federal judge has approved a $1.5 billion settlement. Hopefully you'll get a little money from that, between the AI company Anthropic and authors who alleged that nearly 500,000 books were allegedly illegally pirated to train chatbots. This case highlights the ongoing concern about copyright infringement in the age of artificial intelligence. AI, of course, is making inroads in basically every industry at lightning speed. The new chat GPT 6.0, adding things like voice communication and photo manipulation and video manipulation and real-time audio manipulation, as well as digital narration. These things are having a fundamental impact on the publishing business. And both as readers and as authors, it's certainly something that we need, I think, to be talking about. You know, a recent industry survey from a book industry study group incorporated revealed that nearly half of book industry professionals are now using AI tools in some fashion. But 98% expressed significant concerns about the impact of AI in publishing. And these are the people that are in the publishing business, and they're concerned about it. It indicates a growing tension between technological advancement and traditional publishing practices. Elsewhere in crazy publishing news, and under the heading of controversial lawsuits, the president, Donald Trump, has filed another lawsuit, this one against Penguin Random House Publishing and, of course, the New York Times, claiming defamation related to a book published by the New York Times. A federal judge dismissed the lawsuit, calling it improper and impermissible in its current form. The man loves to sue people. He learned that from Roy Cohen. Got a lot of new book releases, which we'll be talking about later in the show. But notable new releases are Lily King's Heart the Lover, very intense romantic genre book, as well as books by Thomas Pynchon, Dan Brown, and Mr. Patterson, of course. The literary landscape continues to evolve with discussions around the impact of AI on book reviews, as well as the role of nonprofit organizations in the discussion, like the newly invented Viva la Book Review, which aims to connect book reviews with local and national media sources. As you may or may not know, there has been a definite decline in the coverage of books. This show was basically invented because of that. There seems to be no place where readers and listeners can go and talk about the books they've come to know and love, and the music and musicians they've come to know and love. It's a contentious environment. Books, authors, musicians are navigating the challenges posed by technology. The legal issues that AI presents is not, insignificant. It reminds me a little bit of the mid 80s to early 90s, when tools like Pro Tools in the digital professional recording space came about. Products like Auto-Tune, both in a hardware form as well as the software, which basically says that a singer doesn't need to sing on key anymore. They can take that off-key, flat, and tweak it and make it sound perfect. Not just in the recording studio, but also with their hardware version. Auto-Tune can do that for live performances as well. And I'm kind of between a rock and a hard place there, because having been a professional musician for more than a dozen years, playing on cruise ships, Vegas, every bar, west of the Mississippi, giving a great performance night after night is very, very difficult. And if you're any kind of a performer, entertainer, or person, you want to give people 110% every time. And it's kind of hard when you're, on a 50-week tour, night after night, to give that top-notch performance. And at the same time, these people just spent, $100 a ticket to come and see you. you use every tool you possibly can to deliver a top-notch performance every single time, if at all possible. Same thing with authors. I'll use every and any tool I can to tell a effective and gripping story effectively and engagingly. But suffice to say, it's going to be a very interesting 2026 in the publishing and independent music business. Also on the headlines, Stephen King is the most banned author in the United States, just in time for Halloween. A new report on book bans in U.S. school finds that Stephen King, horror author extraordinaire, is the author most likely to be censored, and that the country is divided between states actively restricting his works and those attempting to eliminate bans. That's a story that's in The Guardian this week. Stephen King, the most banned author in the United States. Also, I found this little tidbit fairly concerning. It told me that reading for fun in the United States has fallen by 40% in the last 3 years. A study by the New Autonomy Association says that the number of Americans who read for pleasure has fallen 40%. Joined by researchers at the University of Florida and the University College of London, the study found that between 2003 and 2023, so 20 years, daily reading for reasons other than work and study fell by about 3% each year. We're reading less and less for pleasure. Now, I submit to you that, number one, that probably doesn't include ebook readers who have switched over entirely to a Fire or Kindle, an ebook reader. And it definitely doesn't include audiobook listeners who are growing by leaps and bounds. By the way, all of my ebooks, see how we weave it all together? All of my ebooks are available on Apple audiobooks, including Brian, Buddy, and Me, which is a very spooky rock and roll story just in time for Halloween. Check that one out. It's about a trip I had in northern Michigan, got in an accident and met Buddy Holly and Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones. Stranger things have happened. Well, I've been fooling around in the lab with some video. Let's check out this week's book promo. Hey, we got to pay the bills somehow. Let's check out another book promo. Well, I'm super excited to have my next guest on the show. She is the Mistress of Horror. Please welcome DL Tillery. How are
Hey
you?
everybody. I'm good.
Good to
Good.
see
Doing
you.
good. Good to see you.
Well, you know, I've kind of followed your books, and I know you from some of the forums and such like that. So I was really
Yeah.
honored that you took the time to be on the show, and I want to talk about your books. But
Yeah.
let me just ask you from the get-go, have you always liked scary stuff?
Yeah. I would say so. It probably started because my mom growing up, she let us look at horror movies. Though like when we would watch action movies, she'd be like, like most kids in my generation, I'm a Zennial. So I'm in between Gen X and the millennials. And so, like having a boomer parent, and my dad was from the silent generation, so he's a much older than my mom. And so they had like strict rules when you watch movies, but I noticed they didn't have as many strict rules when it came down to horror. So when we would watch horror, like you could see all the guts and all the monsters killing and stuff, and no one said turn your head or anything. You didn't you didn't have to turn your head or any of that stuff. Growing up in the generation I grew up in, so my mom was big into horror, so we could watch all the horror stuff. So I was really big into like monster movies and things like that, and really big into vampires and werewolves and things. So always leaned into creepy stuff. And then, though not necessarily 100 related to it, but I was a goth kid. I knew I was goth when I was a teenager, but very strict family. So I wasn't allowed to wear makeup or dress like a goth or anything. So as soon as I turned about 18, 19, then I just blossomed to be who I was because I could then, you know what I mean? So I always knew that I was goth, so I leaned into the dark stuff anyway. So it kind of just could bloom because then I
And
was like in control of myself.
and what area of the country are you from?
The East Coast. I was born and raised in Maryland, still here.
Wow.
Yep. So yeah.
Um, well, how did you get the title of Mistress of Horror? What a great title,
Yeah, I decided to coin it myself really because growing up and watching all the horror and being quite into the masters of horror, Stephen King being one of those, um I was like, there's no mistress of horror. There's masters of horror, but there's no mistresses of horror. And yeah, they had, the Mistress of the Dark, Vira, but there was no mistress of horror who was writing, horror stuff, rather it be film and or books, that was known. There was no group of women who were the mistresses of horror. So I kind of thought about that, being interested in following the masters of horror. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be the mistress of horror myself. So that's kind of where the idea came from. And I was like, I just ran with it and branded and became my brand.
Well,
And
as an author, what do you find about the horror genre that's so appealing, and why, next to romance,
mhm,
horror readers are the most voracious and
yes,
enthusiastic. I mean, they're like a tribe.
we are, right? Um, I think that I like the layered aspects of the dark and what could happen with those things. Like there's a mystery to it. The fear, and I'm very particular about my favorite type of horror. So those types of horror where you can't win always, where it's because some people like horror and they go more slasher, they go more like human monsters, that's also a part of horror, but I'm more into monsters that humans tend to not always be able to defeat, hence why I lean into cosmic horror and eldritch horror, because I like the idea of humans not being able to beat those things so easily. When we're talking about the human monsters, the issues that we have, and the monsters that we fight within ourselves, it's a little bit different than when you come across something that you probably don't have the best outcome of winning against. So I like those odds. And then that unexplained just loss of mind of not being able to beat something is so greater than you that there's not much of a chance whatsoever. Hence why I lean into cosmic horror a lot.
Are you gonna tell me that there were monsters under the bed?
I might. They could have been anywhere.
But
They could have just been watching.
you bring up a good point in
Mhm.
that, like in the movie Psycho, we never saw him actually stab the woman.
Yeah, they liked that
Sometimes I
aspect.
think implied horror or implied
Yeah.
things that scare us are
Yes.
more effective than actually spelling out and showing. Don't
Directly. Yeah, it I like the layers. So like you'll notice if any of my stories, especially when it's going to be my horror or my dark fantasy. I like a lot of mystery. I do like to scare people, so I like to sneak up on you. So when I write that way where I'm leading up to the big scare, so to speak. I like to tiptoe and take my time with the fear because I like to build fear. And it seems to work quite well. If I can give people nightmares, then I'm usually like, wow, I did my job.
Why do we like to be scared so much?
I think that actually talked to a few horror writers in the indie field. We had a discussion about the psychological effects of horror and why we like to be scared, or at least the fear of the idea of creatures that can scare us. And we had a good discussion about that. And it might be true that because of the aspects of our own human lives, that when we watch horror, we're watching someone else's life and the terrible things that's happening to them. And it can sometimes ground you to think that maybe these terrible things that's happening to me in my human life isn't so bad after all. And it could be much worse. Imagine if I had to deal with that stuff. You know, I just watched a horror movie last night because when October comes, my tradition is to watch at least one horror movie a day until Halloween. And then all day we watch horror movies and we have like a table layout of horror themed food and desserts and things like that. So yesterday I watched this it's pretty good to me. It's a werewolf movie. It's actually called Werewolves, so original. And it's newer, right? It's so original. Like there's no other movies called that. Um, but it's called Werewolves, and it's a take on werewolves being a type of pandemic, almost like when they do zombie outbreaks, but it's werewolf outbreak. And somehow the moon lunar cycle, like when the super moons come, it affects all the humans on the planet. And if you are caught in the moon's rays, you become a werewolf. And some people even miss the point, right? Just these werewolves are really bad. Like these are like my kind of werewolves, where if I know a lot of times they throw the word werewolf around, and as the Mistress of Horror, I have to tell people every single thing that they call werewolf in a book or movie is not actually a werewolf. If it's not standing on its back legs and it's not 8 feet tall and hawking, that's not a werewolf. Okay, because if they shift into a wolf,
wasn't Jack Nicholson in Wolf?
Oh, the Wolf
the
Man,
best version. He was marked his territory.
Yeah, he marked his territory. Yeah, and there's wolf men can be very vicious and terrible, sometimes even worse than a werewolf. Wolfmen are very, very vicious and still in that scale of werewolves, but wolfmen, that's a whole nother conversation right there. But yeah, these werewolves were terrible. Okay. So if everyone could turn, so if you get caught in the moon rays, giant werewolves. So you imagine all these werewolves running around, ripping people up. Only people's family members would turn and then kill them. You know, you don't know if your kid getting in the moon rays, over, kid turns into a werewolf. So this is like one of the worst things. And you're sitting there like, yeah, maybe I don't have it that bad, because if I have to deal with that, it's all over.
And where do you find movies like that, old movies like that?
Oh, yeah, I have a lot of streaming services, but this particular one was on, I think this was on Amazon Prime. That one was on Prime. Usually I just go looking. I have a subscription to Shudder as well, which is all horror. It's all horror movies and shows, because they're the ones who picked up Creep Show when the new series of Creep Show came out. Shudder had it. So I have to have, obviously there's an app that's like all horror shows and movies. I would have it clearly. So I definitely recommend Shudder for people. It's not too, I think it's like $10 a month or something like that.
But I'm surprised there's not a website or a streaming service that's dedicated to that. The fan base is so.
Yeah. I'm surprised it's not a bigger one. Shudder is okay known. It's not like, I guess it's not crazy big, but it's not really, it doesn't have any contenders. You would think there would be contenders because horror is definitely coming bigger and it's always had its fan base. So, but I would definitely tell people to check Shudder out, because there are like a lot of indie films on there. Even on Amazon Prime, you can get some indie films. I also will go on YouTube and watch horror shorts, because I like independent film as well, because sometimes you get some really good stuff. And I always watch like Japanese horror, because Japanese people know how to scare you. Some of the best horror out there is from Japan.
Really?
Okay. Like the original, like Japanese versions, because we have stuff like The Grudge and The Ring here, but that stuff came from Japan, and then they made American versions of it. But the original versions are some of the best scary. To me, some of the best horror is from Japan. Like when they do The Woman in Red, like she is like one of the worst legends.
That's very
in horror. Like she's so creepy. Like, and this is the type of stuff you can't just beat. You can't fight it. You're going to just want to run away, but you can't technically escape it. So those type of creatures are always like the best, creepiest stuff to me.
I'm pretty old school. When I was growing up in Detroit, there was a guy on Channel 50, which was the like UHF channel that was kind of difficult to get, was mostly over the air. He was called Ghoul. It was 11 o'clock at Saturday night, And
Yep,
he
late
used to
night.
play, Creature of the Black Lagoon,
Yep,
the original Frankenstein movie,
yep, the classics.
Nosferatu, and all
Yep,
like that. So,
yep.
um,
Gotta love the
so
classics.
let's talk a little bit about your books.
Yeah,
You've got your latest book. I cannot pronounce the title. Will you do that for me?
yep. Cagliostro, Tale of the Libertin.
Now that strikes me as I was just reading the back cover.
Yeah.
They're on Amazon, and that's like it's going to be a trilogy.
Yes, it is a trilogy. It's a planned trilogy. I have almost finished the second book. I'm saying almost, but it's finished, but I'm cleaning it up because I did originally plan to release it in December this year because the first book came out December on my birthday last year.
Right.
And the plan was to release it, but then I had a whole bunch of craziness happen this year, so it kind of pushed it back. So it's probably not going to be coming out till spring, 26. But it's already ready to go. Third book has been outlined. I know what the ending is. I'm a plotter.
And
So
you're
I
not
used to
saying,
be,
I was going to ask, you're a plotter? Yeah.
I am a plotter. I used to be a planter where I would like some stuff figured out and then I would just go blah blah blah. But I changed years ago and then I started finishing books. And I'm not a long-winded writer because I have a lot of my like writer friends like SD Houston. They can write for days. Like I always tease them about the amount of words that they push out. Some crazy like 150K in a month and some crazy stuff. And I'm like, it's not going to be me. I will not be a Stephen King with it being well over 1,000 pages. Like Stephen King, my boy, I love you, but you need to calm down with that, okay? Him with his long horror books. I'm like, I'm more on the I like my horror kind of short. I kind of like it like mid-level. If it's going to be a novel, that's fine. But horror is so sweet when it's short. It's just like the perfect type of stories to fit into the short window. So my first work that came out was Room Within. Room Within is like my baby, more or less, because it's the first one I gave to the world for me to test it all out too, being an indie author. So Room Within was very short and sweet. But the thing about my world, Cagliostro's world, going back to my latest novel, all of the things that I have released, except for Thorns in My Heart, because that's my dark poetry, are based in Cagliostro's world. Room Within, Fractals. There is a short horror in Cagliostro's ebook and in physical edition called La Draga, which is a type of creature from the Cagliostro universe. That's also in that world. And then I have a anthology that I plan to release that is different creatures from Cagliostro's world with their own short stories in a collection. So I'm very much, this world is much bigger and it has a lot of branch offs that's going to occur. The main story, Cagliostro, is a 3-book series, but then we have smaller short stories and things that's going to branch out from that world. So
Available as a print book and an ebook as well.
Yes. I usually try to make sure that all my stuff is available in print and ebook, even if it's small, because people like to read how they like to read.
And what do you think about audiobooks? You think you'll eventually
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I love actually Cagliostro is available in audiobook, but it was a deal that I did with Apple. So it's like AI. They did it in AI for me. And then so people can. Yep. So people can get it because I like to try to make it available every way I can because there are people who need to read through audiobooks. So I didn't want to hold out until because I had like 2 people that I was looking to hire to do the audiobook for the male lead and female lead. But I'm like, that will come out in a special edition audiobook, but at least it's available for people who need to read in audiobook form.
And where do the ideas come from?
Ooh, my head is quite vast. I have a very vast mind. I do a lot of stuff. I have a very creative background and I'm a very busy person. So my mind kind of really works that way. So a lot of my stories, it could be, sometimes I'm inspired by a random book cover that I saw, or I'm inspired by a idea. And the funny thing about Cagliostro is it started as just a basic, I would say vampire tale, because I've always had an affinity for vampire stuff. And so it started as a vampire story, which is crazy because it's not a vampire tale at all this time. It has vampires in it. What I call my werewolves are called lycrans. And so it has werewolves and it has fallen angels in it. Cagliostro himself is a Libertin, which is a creature I made up, which is assist of a um vampire infused with vampire blood, but his mother was a fallen angel, which is called a Lachey in my world, and his father was a Lycran, which is a werewolf in my world.
You are in deep need of therapy.
Right? I would say this is true.
I'm only teasing.
I do.
You scare the hell out of me, and I love it. I absolutely
Yeah.
love it. I was reading your bio, and you got
Yeah.
a really young start at 19.
Yeah. Yeah.
What advice would you have for another young woman out there thinking about maybe writing and like that? What advice would you have for them?
I would say that you need to believe in yourself, even if you are, and you have the fear that, oh, I don't think anyone wants to read what I'm putting out, or, I don't know if this story is being told right. I think that it's the right story if it's the story you want to tell, you know, and you have to take a step. Granted, there are so many avenues these days that you don't have to play the traditional rule set. Because when I first started, when I was a kid, I was 12, about 13, knew I wanted to be an author at that point. I figured that out that I did. I had been writing stories already. I always
Wow.
just wrote this and that, poetry was always in there. And, I knew early on that I wanted to be an author. Granted, I'm an entrepreneur and I run a cleaning business. I run a snack, open a snack business. I do so many things and I have my author business. So I would tell them to definitely, you have to just believe in yourself. There's no such thing as no one wants to read what you're writing. There's always people who will want to read what you're writing, and you'll find your audience. You just have to take that step forward. And thank goodness for the avenues that we currently have, that you don't need someone to tell you that you could go ahead now. So just believe in yourself and take that step.
You have kind of branched out a little bit in that you're also kind of a coach and you have these live streams. Tell me
Yep.
about your live. I don't know. Tell me about that.
So I do live streams on Tuesdays and Sunday evenings, Eastern Direct Time at 6. Usually I'm on for about 2 hours. And I usually do chats in between the sprints. So we do like writer sprints. Anybody who's working on any story or just editing or whatever the case may be, or if they just want to come hang with some writers, and then they can and just come and hang out. We always looking for new people. Usually I may be solo, but sometimes I have like a writers group called the Goddesses of Writing. It's Aphrodite Lee, Dahlia D. Winters, and Tamara Woods, who are all authors on YouTube who have their own channels. And we write in different genres. Dahlia D. Winters, she does write some horror, but she also writes romance. Tamara Woods writes cozies for the most part. And Aphrodite writes definitely not horror, but she has dibble and dabble since she met me. She writes this paranormal romance and different types of stories like me, because I'm layered. I don't just write horror. That's why my slogan is I'm the Mr. Horror, but I'm married to all the other genres, So I will be writing different stuff, hence dark fantasy, horror. I do have other pens that I write romance, I write paranormal romance. I write a lot of different stuff because my mind's doing too many things to do one thing. But most of my stuff has a dark taste to it, obviously.
Just to, just to key in on one thing, you not only do you write books, but you also write for periodicals.
Yes. Yep.
Which do you like better, long form or short?
Probably short. Probably short form. But yeah. I I do dibble and dabble in other things in the leading. I still lead it around writing because I'm a social media manager for Charm City Filmmakers, which is located in Maryland. And I came into that because my author friend Aphrodite Lee, she's the like administrator and one of the people on the board there. And they said, oh, because I joined as a member because they help each other make films. So I was interested in possibly making Room Within or Fractals into short horror films. So I got into that and got a part of that. So now I'm their social media manager. So I like take care of like the Instagram and some of the YouTube for them and things like that. And I do like all uploads and stuff. So I'm that's leading into me. I learned how to write a screenplay. So I wrote a screenplay for Room Within already, and when I'm ready, they will help me make the short horror film for it. So I'm always trying to do stuff that's going to help me take another step in my author journey. So I would love to obviously have a big feature film one day of one of my stories, you know?
But that's I think a big light goes
Yeah.
off. A online channel dedicated to independent horror films and short
Yes,
films. I think
definitely.
I remember seeing this one film that was like maybe 22 minutes long, 20 minutes long,
Yeah.
and it made such an impact on me.
Yeah.
And we've got
Yeah.
to support independent productions like that.
Definitely.
Um,
But
so
yeah, there you go.
I always ask my guests this question, and unfortunately, the show is only an hour long
I
because
know.
I could talk to you for a long time.
I know.
Um, if there was one thing that you wish readers knew about the stories that you write, what would it be?
Ooh. I would think that I would like them to know, just readers in general, to know the heart and passion that goes into creating these stories. Like just the battle that you fight to get the book to the finish line and all the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into making these worlds and stuff. It just you love doing it, but there's a lot to it that I would think I would like readers to know, because sometimes as being an indie author, I don't think that a lot of writers in general, rather traditional or indie, get the respect of what we do, because I know that we give away a lot as writers in general. It doesn't matter if traditional or indie, we give away a lot of our work. We just do. It's part of the game, it's part of the world. We know how it goes. But I just being on my journey as an author and getting into email marketing and getting to all those different things, I just wish readers would understand like the all the passion and the blood and tears that we have to go through to make the stories for their enjoyment, and then just a little bit respect for the stories that we put out would really go a long way
Oh,
for us authors.
DL, tell the truth. You're doing it for the money.
Obviously, I'm just rolling in it over here. I don't have any space in my office with all the money.
um, yeah, it's about putting the stories out there, isn't it?
It is. Oh, and I have a hard copy of Cagliostro right here. I was so happy when I got this in the
Pretty.
hardback
Oh, that's a
copy.
hardback copy
Yeah, I got a hardback
with the
because
dust.
I
With the
designed
dust
the
cover.
yep
Very
dust jacket, got the
nice.
characters in there. I
Yeah,
designed the dust jacket myself because I didn't have a dust jacket.
very
But yeah,
nice.
that was fun. But yeah, I keep my
And
hardback on my
that
desk.
looks like a good print job. Who was your printer on that one?
Oh, this is Barnes and Noble Press that did my hardback and the sleeve and everything.
Mhm.
Because as you know, Amazon, they only offer like it directly printed on the hardback, which is fine. I do have one of those, but they don't have a dust jacket option yet. So we're
I
kind of
have,
waiting on that.
I have been less than pleased at the quality of
KDP.
the yeah. So
Yeah.
let me ask you about that. Do you think that when when a reader looks at going into Barnes and Noble and spending $29 for a hardcover, $39 for a hardcover, sometimes maybe a little bit more.
Yeah,
I think they expect stellar, sharp color photographs, and don't you?
I would imagine so. I would. I'm a big reader. I have a extensive book collection, some would call it a library of my own. Probably around, I used to have more, but all the moves, I lost some. But I'm about between 3,000, 4,000 books physical that I own.
Wow.
Yeah. So you imagine moving that. That's a nightmare. Packing that up every time. But yeah, I love books. Like the new Twilight, they had their 20th anniversary, because vampires, though, of course, I like Twilight. And she released a sprayed edge collection version of all 5 books, because Midnight Sun is like a other POV of Twilight, the first book. So it comes in a box set. Of course, I had to get that, the 20th anniversary. Plus, I had to also buy Twilight by itself, because she had another collector's edition that was floral printed with sprayed edges and art in the inside illustration. I'm like, obviously I have to also have that, so please take my money, take it away. So I'm a very adamant, so I will pay. I have much respect for writers, even before I became one, that I will pay for the book. I will pay it. If I love the book, I will pay definitely 100. And a lot of times these days, people are getting caught up in the prettiness of the book, and they may not be such pretty words in the pages to match the prettiness of the book. So there's a lot of that going around these days too, though.
Give me an old 6x9 that I can put in my back pocket.
Right. I got those too.
I'm a happy man.
I feel you.
So what's next for you? Will you come back and talk to us about the new second book?
Oh yeah. Anytime, just hit me up.
And where can people find you online?
Oh, I'm everywhere. I'm one of those ones that I'm in every corner, because obviously being a Mr. Horror, I have to be in every shadow. So you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, X. You can find me on TikTok. I'm even over there. I'm all over. So look, my link tree, and I even put some of my other things that I'm into on there on my link tree, because I used to be a dancer back in the day. I'm a retired dancer. I used to be a belly dancer back in the day. I even have a belly dance channel on YouTube that was actually quite popular for quite a while. And I used to travel around the country and perform. I was a professional, so I made money.
You're a multi-talented force.
Yeah, I'd say so. I've been her.
What are you going to do for Halloween? Anything special?
Oh, like I said, I already started watching horror movies. So on Halloween, usually we dress up in whatever costumes we do. My daughter last year was Wednesday Addams. So, I had to be Morticia. My older brother, he was Lurch. So we always do something fun like that. Just dress up for ourselves, and then we have like our little party layout, and then we have like foods and stuff. Like one year we used to try to do horror themed food. So we'll take like one year we took sausage, like Italian sausage, and made like intestine with like spaghetti sauce and stuff, and made it in a pan. So we try to do really cool themed stuff, and then we watch horror movies into the late night. So
deeply warped. That's deeply warped.
We definitely are. It's true.
Hey, thanks so much for coming by. I really appreciate it. And please come back and talk to us about the new book. And,
you bet.
Thanks a lot, ladies and gentlemen. How about it for the Mistress of Horror right there?
Stay scared.
Well, it's that time again. Let's take a look at Tom's top 10 books. We take a look at what's happening on the Amazon charts, the USA Today charts, the New York Times bestseller charts, and we mix them all up and come up with Tom's top 10. Let's see what's happening in the world of books. audiobooks. Well, from our good friends at Billboard, Amazon, and your local radio station, as well as my excellent musical taste, let's take a look at Tom's top 10 music for this week.
To my surprise,
He did the mash,
he did the monster
the
mash.
monster mash.
It was a graveyard
He
smash.
did the mash,
It caught on in a
he
flash.
did the mash.
He did the monster mash from my laboratory.
They're creepy and they're kooky, mysterious and spooky. They're all together ooky, the Addams Family. The house is a museum when people come to see them. They really are the three of 'em, the Addams Family.
Where was London? Where was London?
Hey, happy Halloween. I really want to thank you for stopping by. I hope you had a good time, and get out there and do some trick or treating, but be careful. Look both ways when you cross the street. Party in numbers, and All Hallow Eve's Day. Be open to the metaphysical. Be open to
things that might just be beyond your understanding and into the Twilight Zone.
at Uncle Tom's Cabin. Join us next week. Thanks so much for coming by, and you make it a great day.
I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For my monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my
He
surprise,
did the mash,
he did the monster
the
mash.
monster mash.
It was a graveyard
He
smash.
did the mash,
It caught on in a
he
flash.
did the mash.
He did the monster mash. From my laboratory in the castle east to the master bedroom where the vampires